In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, John's mom, is that Gabriel's announcement to Mary took place. Gabriel told Mary that her virgin birth is possible because of God and informed her that her very old cousin Elizabeth is in her 6th month right now because of God as well. Mary went immediately to Elizabeth, and then from Elizabeth's statement is that we know that in her 6th month was when Mary became pregnant with Jesus. Mary stayed with Elizabeth for about 3 months, right up until the time that she was due with John. So, our timeline is as such between Elizabeth's and Mary's pregnancies. Luke 1:5 starts the story about Gabriel telling Zacharias that he and Elizabeth will have a son in their old age. What this shows is that from Zacharias' announcement to Jesus' birth covers a 15 to 16 month period. So, if Jesus' birth was in 3 BC, then the announcement to Zacharias occurred in 4 BC. Now that's the easy part. Because if you're still wondering, well, where's the chronological syncing like in Luke 3:1, is that in 1:5, we have the obvious one with, Herod the Great still being alive. But there's actually a second one. And that one is in reference to Zacharias being of the course of Abijah. And that he was on shift burning incense in the temple when Gabriel appeared to him. This and other courses for temple support duty was established by King David. He did this for the tabernacle duty and military by setting up divisions to make everything function a little more smoothly. 1 Chronicles 24 breaks down the divisions along with their ordering that was determined by casting of lots. That set this rotation of 24 different courses, with the 8th one being Abijah's group that Zacharias falls into. 2 Chronicles and 2 Kings tells us that these courses were 1-week shifts, starting on a Sabbath and finishing on the next Sabbath. Josephus basically copies this with some additional comments and even mentions that the Maccabean family was part of the first course. Now, since these were 1-week shifts, is that 2 cycles of duty would be completed in a given year, as this totals up to 48 weeks. But this leaves 3 weeks off of a normal lunar year and 7 off of a leap year where they inserted Adar 2. The Jews had to keep the Passover in the spring in order to wave the first fruits during the festival of unleavened bread. So the intercalary insertion prevents the eventual drifting back of holidays into earlier months. If you ever looked at a Muslim calendar, you'll always see Ramadan kind of shifting around because they stick to a straight lunar calendar of 12 months, 30 days. So it's 360 compared to 365. There's always this drift going on. 2 Chronicles 5 describes how all 24 courses were present to help out with the duties during the 3 major festivals because the whole nation would be gathered in Jerusalem for them. So, 3 Sabbaths on a given year had all of the courses working at the same time. And this is essentially hits the pause button on the rotation. So, between the 2 cycles and 3 festivals is that you now have 51 total weeks accounted for. But at this point in the topic is where all the ifs come in. Because 51 weeks goes over into the next normal lunar year by 3 days. So to say that Yo-Ya Reeves always got to start his shifts at the beginning of Nisan and Tishri causes the last course, Ma'azia, to get shortchanged in a normal lunar year. But one also has to consider what possibly happened during the leap years, with Adar 2 being thrown in on average 7 times in a 17-year period. Who got those shifts? Because of these unspecified situations, is that some will say that the courses just ran continuously versus restarting all over with Yo-Ya Reeves' course getting always the first slot in Nisan and Tishri. So, Where those and the festivals fell rotated through the 19-year Metonic cycle. A possible support to this is that the Seder Olam said that Yoyarib's shift was on duty when the Second Temple was destroyed on August 4th, 70 AD, just a handful of weeks before Tishri 1 of that year. This would be proof that the courses were running continuously instead of starting all over the time on Nisan and Tishri. Ultimately, though, our problem is that this is the only recorded instance with a course being described working in a specific month and year that we have at our disposal. So that means that there is nothing to substantiate this either, or any other view for that matter. And keep in mind that this is coming from the same author who reduced the Persian Empire down to only 52 years with only 4 kings to make his Daniel 70 weeks view look correct. So, how much weight can you give him about Yoyarib's course being on duty during the destruction? I wouldn't say a whole lot. But in chapter 2 of Martin's The Star That Astonished the World book, that is also free on AskELM.com, is that he points out that Luke 6:1 in the KJV, referring to a second Sabbath after the first, or simply said, the second first Sabbath. This could be Luke referencing Tishri's first Sabbath that would be starting the second cycle of courses in the given year. And to keep adding to that train of thought is that Acts 13:42 references the next Sabbath. But what it could be really read as is the between Sabbath. That would be in reference to the festival Sabbaths that pause the course's rotation of temple duty. This follows the same Lucan use in the 4 other spots in his Gospel and Acts. So, if we are working from Luke alone, is that Yoyarib's course got to take the first slot every year on Nisan and Tishri with the festival week Sabbaths, pausing the rotation until the following Sabbath after the festival was conducted. That then means that we could do some pinpointing with the announcement to Zacharias starting in Nisan of 4 BC. Parker and Duberstein show that Thursday, March 29th, was Nisan 1. So, Yoyarib's course would have been March 24 through 31. Then, Yidiyah the following week, with Harim starting on April 7th, but the festival interrupts his cycle with all the courses being present for the Passover week. Then Harim finishes his course on April 21st, the following Sabbath. Then we can smoothly go to the course of Abijah when Zacharias was on duty May 19 through 26. And do note that Luke says that he finished out the whole week even after Gabriel muted him. So, taking May 26 as the earliest date for John's conception is that this places his birth in March 3 BC, just like we found working from Jesus' baptism backwards, thus placing Jesus' birth in September to early October range of that year. All of this shows is that Luke was being very precise with his accounts. That includes his about 30 years old statement as being extremely accurate, that all follows in line with his intent to write an orderly account for Theophilus. Reminder, hit the subscribe button below, turn on the notification bell, hit the like button, and leave a comment. And don't forget to visit us at justscripture.org. And in the meantime, stay salty.